Good day, friends in the School of Research. Welcome again to Dr. Kemi Asemota Academic Research Empowerment Forum. And thank you for having Dr. Godwin with me also. We are the two presenters for this in this presentation. Today's topic will be focusing on concept note development in research, a practical guide for researchers. What you will learn. There are many things to learn. So let's proceed. What you will learn? You will learn a lot. One of the things you are going to learn is how to develop a concept note. Developing a concept note in research is essential for laying the foundation of a successful study. So, and a concept note outlines the objectives, the methodology, and the expected outcomes of the research project, it serves as a vital communication tool for stakeholders and funding agencies. Key lessons will include focusing on clarity, relevance, and engagement to articulate your ideas effectively. And the intended audience that we have for this presentation are postgraduate students, researchers, academics, and decision makers who seek to understand the nuances of your proposed study. Okay. Also, other things you need to learn. What a concept note really is. We are identifying the research problem. We are going to see how you can identify your research problem as we present. Also, how to align your research objectives and questions. Also, it will uh, help you to learn how to demonstrate relevance and contribute, how to demonstrate the relevance of your concept note and your contribution in your presentation to your funding agencies or your institution. And also, it will help you to structure how you can structure your concept note in such a way that it will be meaningful and it flows. One section will flow into the other and then till it's to the final outcomes. For example, the components, you have the background, problem, statements, objectives, methodology, overview, and expected outcomes. And the concept note also here, this presentation will help you to present to your supervisors, ethics committees, and the funding agency, okay, what they are looking for approval and also for progress. Okay, so these are the lessons that we expect you to learn, and even in the course of our discussion and the presentation, there are other things that we have not outlined here. Okay, so let's move on. Who this video is for? This video we have mentioned earlier, or just skeletally, we have mentioned this video is good for undergraduate final year project students or final year project students, because final year project students are students that will write their project, research project. Okay, masters and PhD students, early career researchers, grants and fellowship applicants, academic supervisors and mentors, researchers seeking funding or ethical approval. The next slide, how are we going to present this? This is just the format, you see. So let's just proceed without any delay. So what is a concept note? What is a concept note? It's what you conceive, or what you are impregnated with, the idea or the problem, that particular problem that you have conceived, and you are looking at it. How am I going to look at this? And it is a marketing tool or instrument. You see, instrument or measuring instrument for gathering data, analysis, interpretation, and presentation. Okay, it is a way of articulating ingenious ways of assembling what is available as frameworks for achieving the set goal. It involves adding new materials for sustainability, and also what they are impregnated with that will be delivered in due season. You see, like I said earlier, the idea that you have conceived, ideas conceived by the researchers or the investigators. And it takes time in terms of preparation, thought processes, and synthesis. From the beginning of the concept to the delivery, it takes time, and that time duration must be factored into the concept, which can be called preparatory or preliminary stages. And it has a gestation period from the beginning, okay, of the concept to the delivery stage. So it must start somewhere and in the process until you come out with expected outcomes. And that is when you deliver what you have conceived and what you have processed in the research processes. And also it talks about the outcome of the conception. That is the delivery, that's what we are talking about. Okay, let's proceed. Okay,
Let me say
Dr.
something about
Godwin, please.
the concept note. Thank you very much, Dr. Lukemi, for giving us a succinct overview of what is a concept note. Why is it important? It's important because you must understand what concept means. She has told you is what you have conceived, what you are impregnated with. When you look at it closely, a concept is what the hypothesis you may have. What are hypotheses? An hypothesis is a guess answer. So that is one way of looking at it. So a concept is an hypothesis, your guess answer, to the problem at hand. It's an idea, as she's told us. It's an image. It's an impression. It's a notion. It's a theory or a view or a viewpoint or your disposition. So these are things that come to bear when we are looking at a concept. What is a note? A note talks about a comment, an epistle, a letter, a memorandum, a message, a minute, a record, a remark, a reminder. You can see these things come together. It's an indication, it's a mark, it's a sign, it's what you must notice, what you must heed to. So it's a point you have to follow. When you now put a concept and a note together, then it now becomes a concept note. That means the hypothesis you have noted, you have guessed, you have imagined, you have been impressed by. So these are the things that come to bear. When you now put them together, then it now becomes a development, which means you have to put together to form a whole. Can you see? So a concept talks about the ideas, the notes talk about the remarks, what you must put down, which are important and vital. You can't do without in the execution of the project. Thank you, Dr. Lukem.
Let's proceed. Thank you, Dr. Godwin. What does a concept note include? Now we have looked at what a concept note is. Now we are looking at what does a concept note include? What comprises a concept note, in other words, okay? A concept note talks about a problem, a particular problem. That's why we used a concept note. We are not talking about it because when even the funding agencies will not tell you concept notes. It's one per time. It's one per project. It's one per research. It is one per the program they are funding or they are about to they are intending to fund. So a concept note talks about a problem, a particular problem to be solved with known, partially known, or unknown methods, or a combination of all. What is being conceived, that particular idea and what you have in your mind that is being conceived should be included in the concept note. Okay? When is it going to be batted, delivered? Okay? Who will benefit? Who will support, or who will be helping in the process of the concept note development, the concept note gathering of data for the research to be undertaken in the analysis, and so on and so forth. And at what level? Okay, at what level? Is it at the local level, the national, the regional, the continental, or global? What will be the seat of the operationalization of the concept note? Okay, and also what are the physical, structural, governmental, and policy framework and implications that will make it suitable for the local or location for the project? I want Dr. Godwin to expatiate on these points one after the other.
Thank you
Over
very
to
much,
you.
Dr. Luke. As she has explained, it's a concept note. It is one project per time, per slot, per season, per cohort. It's one problem with diverse sub-problems that need to be sorted out so that the project can be executed and the result will be delivered to the recipient so that everybody benefits. So it involves methods using known method, actually known methods, or combination of methods, or using new methods that could be developed. And these things involve several experts combining to resolve the problem at hand. That's why it is multifaceted, multidimensional. So what was conceived will now come from knowing what was conceived, what is expected, when it will be delivered, because it will have timelines, because it is not eternal, it's not continually elastic. So there's a time period. Then who will benefit? Who will be supported? And what institutions are going to be involved? So is it one institution or a combination of expertise from different areas that will look at different parts and contribute their resources so that it benefits both at the local level, national, regional, continental, or global, or a mix of all this. So why it is it important? There should be a place. It should not be a mobile seat. It should be sedentary that has a place where everybody who is involved in that project will be able to rally around and meet and share information, assign responsibilities and time frames for each to deliver, and a coordinator to put them together in the right format, in the right perspective, and present a holistic work for it to show that what has been done was properly conceived, properly considered, well organized, and properly delivered in the right format. Thank you, Dr. Luken.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. Let's proceed. The next slide talks about what does concept note include. I mean, it's still the continuation of the previous slide. How is it going to be implemented? Because we are talking about the content of the concept note. You should discuss the implementation process. When, how, with who, which organization, who is going to benefit, or who are the people benefiting sorry,
And those who will execute it
and those who will execute
before the
before
beneficiary.
who will execute it before the beneficiaries.
Yeah.
Okay. What methods should be used to operationalize the concept for resounding success? And why is it necessary for the concept to be actualized now? It's very important because delay is dangerous. It will become more expensive if there is a delay, and the damage that could arise from non-implementation will be colossal. Okay, that's why I've already explained why now. So in the concept note, these are the things that we have highlighted and we have discussed briefly now that a concept note should contain, because it is very important. And also, why we have written this, it depends on what the funding agencies they are requesting from you. So they have their own format, but generally speaking, these are the things that should be included in a concept note. Can we proceed, Dr. Godwin, or you still want to add one or two things? It's okay. Yeah. So let's proceed to the next slide. This is talking about what is the rationale for the concept note. Why? What is the reason? Okay, the reason for the concept note. Why the concept note? See, it must be the reason for the project or the research to be undertaken should be clearly stated. It should be clearly written for the stakeholders, everyone in the loop there to understand, and it must flow. Whatever you mean to say should be well stated. What you have written should not mean something else to many. It should mean the same thing to different people. It should reflect the benefits accruing to the beneficiaries and funding agencies. It should explain the why of the research endeavor. Okay, so I would like Dr. Godwin to explain further.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lukemi. Actually, when it comes to the rationale, it's one of the major problems why concept notes fail. Unless you are able to write the reason, the rationale, the compelling reason why it must be now, why that project should be funded, why resources should be put together to ensure that it is undertaken, not delayed further, not by another person or group of investigators or researchers, that you have what it takes for it to be carried out. So it's a very well written, because when the accountant sees it, the accountant wants to know what is the benefit to the organization, what is the benefit to the society, what is the benefit to the researchers, that everybody must benefit. So what is the investment index? What is the percentage? So these are the things, return on investment. That is what the accountant is looking for. The economist is looking at what are the economic advantages will it bring about a product that will sell, that will bring an increase. Then the planner will look at it. If this is done in this way, what is the layout going to look like? Will it beautify the society? Will it lead to a reduction in wastages? So these are the things that the economists, the accountants, the planners, the engineers, the social scientists, the psychologists, everybody that is involved in that project has a perspective that must be benefited. Otherwise, this the concept will not sail. So that is why it's important that this is properly written, succinctly written, presented in a way that it does not have double meaning. It means something to everybody. Thank you, Dr. Lukemi.
Let's proceed. Thank you, Dr. Godwin. Let's proceed to the next slide. We are moving gradually. Next slide is looking at the aims, objectives, and purposes of a concept note. What are the aims? Because anything you are going to write and present must have the aims, the objectives, and the purposes. So in the concept note context, what do we mean by aims, objectives, and purposes? Aims are the global implications of the project you want to, the global, okay? That is the overall goal of that research or the project you are about to embark upon and you are seeking funding for, okay? What are the objectives? These are the intentions or targets for the project or research. The purposes are motives for embarking on the project or research.
So thank you very much, Dr. Lukemi. The aims are globalized. Why are they globalized? Because it is what brings everything together that makes it robust. If it's too lean, it's skeletal, and nobody wants to work with bones. So people want to see what is good looking, is robust, is sound, and it is all embracing. So with that kind of packaging, it appeals to many people because it is good and everybody can see how they benefit from the project. Then what are the targets? That is the objectives. You have general objectives, then you have specific objectives. The general talks about the intentions, the target audience, what will be the benefits, and who will it impact in one way or the other. So when those things are put together, and as they are being put in different forms, they are each resolving the problem or the puzzle at hand. That when it is properly handled, those objectives lead to solve problems. Those solved problems are what can be manageably resolved and put together that resolves the project or the problem at hand. Then the purpose is the motive. Why are you embarking on the project or the research? So when you now finish with that, you are able to look at other things that makes the concept note implementation compelling. Without it, then damage could arise, and nobody wants to see damage. Thank you, Dr. Lukemi. So the next, we're talking about the indices required of a concept note. We have already explained what a concept is, what a note is, its development. Then now you're talking about the parameters, the indices. What is measurable? What are the things you are going to measure? Because it is a project, it needs to be implemented, it needs to be coupled together, and there are different parts to the project. And if there are different parts, then there should be a room to measure each, to see that every point has an input, has an output, and has the practical implications. Okay, let me look at it. Let me say it one way. If you are looking at the setting up an abattoir, for example, abattoir is for what? It's for slaughtering animals for sale. Now, what kind of animals will be brought there? Is it cow or goats or sheep or chicken? Let's say it is cow. First is what kind of cow will be brought. The next is to check how well fed is it. Then there should be a veterinary doctor that will check the health of that cow before. So these are measuring points. So the health of the cow must be tested to be sure that it is not sick, it's not contaminated, it don't having a mouth and cow disease that will cause problem for people. So those are the things. So there must be tests and measurements and results. So you talk about monitoring and evaluation. So these things are what indices talk about, what you measure. So there must be input, there must be transformation point, and outputs. And each of these must be checked. There will be checks and balances. That's why it is important that it's a concept, it is methodical, and each of it has to be properly checked, that it meets with the requirements, that there's no part that is, if there is any problem, it can easily be nipped in the bud and made to be resolved. So it entails measuring outcomes based on the research problem and the research questions with cogent and competent answers. They must be good enough. They must be the right answers, not just formulations. They are based on the spot and on the field assessment. So they are practical and feasible aspects of the work. Then, so that the solutions that are proffered by researchers solve the problems satisfactorily, and they satisfy also the core business of the institutions for which the research is meant. So what is very important, that the concept should solve the problem of sustainability of a going concern. Is not to solve the problem and die. No, it is to solve the problem, make it sustainable, make it a going concern, and make it to be profitable. So, as we are looking at it in this format, we have looked at it from the problems of human resource. What is human resource? So it's capacity development. You develop capacity, develop expertise, you develop confidence and experience. So it's experiential, it is adaptable, it is training. So, and all this involves a lot of expertise. That's why each of the political the policy frameworks have to address and to be addressed by the concept you have proffered or designed or developed. Now, let us look at the engineering aspect. What implements will need to be developed? What implements or tools or instruments need to be developed, need to be adapted, need to be redesigned? Then, when you do this, before they are commercialized, they must be made to be in prototypes. So you must do the design, you must do the the manufacture, couple, mold, and you have the prototype. It's a small aspect, reduced form of what can be commercialized or expanded so that you are able to have the product at the end of the day. So you can see each of these are what must be conceived and put into the concept and written out as symbols, as notes, as notices, as assemblages. So this, you can see that is a very complex and technical aspect of the work. So that's why a lot of persons are involved, a lot of expertise is involved, and a combination of resources are required to make it to prosper. Then, with that, how are you going to do what you need to ensure that this system prospers? Would there be a grant? Would there be scholarships? Would there be assistantships? These are things that can come in so that the project can be completed, remain going concern, remain profitable, and can lead to spin-off businesses or companies. Thank you, Dr. Luken.
What can we say? Can you say about, for example, if you are conducting a research in the university system as a postgraduate student, for
Yes.
example, you are embarking on your PhD and you have been asked to write a concept note
Yes.
concerning that particular area of interest
Yes.
as a topic. So we can pick just one topic in human resource or business or in engineering or in whichever discipline.
Yes.
You will be required to write a concept note.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to such students?
Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Luken. This is a very important aspect. For you to do a postgraduate work, you need to write a concept. Why is it important to know your viewpoint? What do you think about the problem at hand? How are you looking at it? From there, the supervisors will be able to know, okay, this is your thinking, because your concept is what you are thinking. So, and it is you. So that's why for you to write a good concept note, you must know what you want to do. And not that somebody will tell you, I go and write a project on this. When you don't have interest in that area, you won't be able to sail with it. But if it's your interest area, then you have a concept. Your concept may not be right. It's not going to be right. But with the concept you are presented, It's a present. That's why it is a marketing tool. It's a presentation of what you think at that moment. When it is, we now okay, they will ask, okay, what do you say? I have this in mind. I think this way. I think then when you're now discussing, it is from that point you now okay, this is this way. This is this project. I think this way, that way. What are the aims, the objectives? With that one written out, then by looking at what you have written, it gives meaning to your thinking pattern, what is possible, what is not possible, what is known, what is unknown. So as a postgraduate student, you are moving from the known to the unknown. So you must know the methods available for what has been done before. So those methods are the ones that will help you to know how to proceed in the way you want to go. So that is why you must understand the methodology, what was used, how the results came out, what they got, and what is outstanding, which is for you to look into. From what they have done, you are able to see. So that is one way of looking at it. So it's a very good way to be able to proceed. That's why it is the requirement for postgraduate students to present their viewpoints so that the supervisors with the postgraduate committee can help them to fine-tune it, redirect it to meaningful projects that are actionable, that are able to provide results that will contribute and reduce complexities and make it more investigatable.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Dr.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And that's why uh, forums are created for postgraduate students or researchers to present their concept note at the initial stage so that they can be guided. You are the you are in charge. You are the one that will investigate the problem. You are the one that will analyze the problem. You are the one that will gather uh, data from the field. So you at the onset, before you go to the field, you must first of all prepare your ideas, your your thoughts, okay, and put them on a paper, and that's what we called a concept note. You present it. It's after you have been you have successfully presented and you have been advised, you have been guided, feedbacks here and there, then you can go and you can proceed to writing a proposal. It's still the same thing if you are being funded by any funding uh, agencies or institutions or research body. Okay, so we just have to bring it home into the postgraduate student in the higher institution, because so that it can be it's applicable. A concept note is a concept note, but the only difference, not really much difference, is it in the higher institution, is it for funding? Even if you are a student, you still, maybe you are on scholarship, an agency will be funding you, so they want to know how you want to prepare and what you really want to do. So you have to present this with the for the agency, and you still need to present this in your institution. You can see, so it must be well taught and understood. And before writing this, you must have read widely on that interested area of your choice. It must be an area of interest, because to embark on a research, on whether research project, thesis, or project that will be funded externally, it involves rigorous work from the beginning to the end. So we have just discussed the indices required of a concept note. Okay, there are parameters, there are measurements, what you need to do. For example, in even the postgraduate student, you are going to just mention to us, what are you going to use to measure those things? Are they questionnaires? And how? How do you measure them? Using the Likert scale? You just mentioned, a concept note is not a voluminous thesis book. No, just 1 or 2 pages, or within 2 to 5 pages. It depends on the requirements of your university, from your university or the funding agency. So, but you must put your thoughts on paper with clarity, and it's a vital tool of communicating what you intend to do. So, and for you to progress to the next stage after the concept note, you must defend it, and you must convince your audience, your examiners, the panelists, that you know what you are about to do. You see, what you are about to do, what you intend to do. I think that is understood. So let's move on to the next slide, which talks about what are the research questions. You see, when you are coming up with a topic, there must be questions you want to ask, because if you don't map out the questions that the research will answer, then you will be going around the clock and you don't even know where to start or how to go. So that's why you need to break down. Once you have identified the general objectives, the general objective is one. You have identified the general objective, then you break down the general objective into specific objectives. Those specific objectives may be up to 3, 4, 5, depending on the topic, the extent to which you want to the coverage and the scope of the research. So after that, then you look at the research questions. Are men smarter than, I'm just using that as an example, than women in what type of discipline or in what type of job? Okay, those are, for example, we can ask that, and many other questions depending on your discipline. Then after that, you can proceed to state the research hypothesis, your guesses. But until you prove it, you cannot confirm that it is so. It depends on the statistical procedure, the statistical analysis, the interpretation. You have to document, you have to make sure that you don't fabricate anything. And that's why the measuring indices, the parameters you are going to use, must be spelled out right from the beginning. Why do you want to use? Everything must be explained and precisely. So you look at the locations, where are you going to conduct the research? Subject specific, is it in the area of engineering, and who are your participants and respondents? Those two are covered, the subject matter and the areas of, and the target audience. You see, the population and the sample that you draw from the entire population, because you are not going to use the whole population in that city, in that country. You have to narrow down, and which area, which locale, where are you going to? Is it by province, or by regions, or by counties, or by what, depending on your research. And also, the research topic determines the research questions to ask anyway. That's what I've said. I started from the research topic. So that is that. I know that Dr. Godwin would like to add a few input in this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lukemi. Actually, when it comes to research questions, this is one of the most difficult aspects of research. The questions you ask determine the result you will get. If you ask a foolish question, you get foolish answers. If you ask a cogent, precise question, you will have a precise and well thought out answers that will help in your research. So the research question is dependent on the research problem, what you want to solve. Let me use a particular example. Let me talk about composite, for example. If we talk about a composite, what's a composite? That is the problem. Now, what kind of composite do you have? What a composite it means is a combination or a mixture of two or more materials. So when it comes to that, then what kind of mixture will it be? How are you going to combine them? So these are the questions that will come. Then are you combining a metal with a non-metal, or a metal and a metal, or one metal or two metals? So when you now look at those questions, if, for example, you are combining two metals as composites, the question you will be asking will be, will there be galvanic corrosion, for example? Why? Because if you have two metals that are not the same, you have a difference in hydrogen potential. So that brings about corrosion in the future. So when you now have a boundary of two metals that are dissimilar, then from there will be a wastage. So those are the kind of questions that will. So you can see now that question came because of the kind of materials you are combining. So you must understand that's why it is important that you get it. So it must be clear, it must be precise. So how does he answer that question? That one we are just saying. So
On this slide.
yes, that slide is talking about how does the concept answer the research question.
The previous slide,
Yes,
we have just looked at what are the research questions,
yes,
and which we have explained. But now, how does that concept note answer the research questions? You know, we have. So this is the slide we are showing
yes.
right now. How does the concept note answer the question?
Yeah. So we have not said that from that statement, it is a precise and succinct statement or statement that explains what is to be done, where is it to be done, why is it to be done. What is talking about a description of this and that are the things to be done, which we spell out. Example: combining different materials in a composite. Then where? In so and so. Why? Because we want to increase the capacity to withstand voltage. Are you getting the question now? When there is a voltage differential, can you see who or whom will it affect? Once there's a voltage differential, it affects machines, it affects man, it affects industries, and it can cause failure and fault and lead to power blackout. Can you see whom is it affecting? It leads to loss of income, loss of job, and a wastage or rotting of materials. Can you see? Then how is it to be done? This is the most important. Which methods are you going to use? So, like we talked about, using different materials. Then you can now use materials that do not have hydrogen potential. So you use a metal and a non-metal as the composite. And with that, you still have an increase in voltage profile as long as there's no imperfection in the material. So can you get it now? So this is how you can see that we have answered the question: what is to be done, where is it to be done, why is it to be done, when is it to be done, whom or who does it affect positively and negatively, and how I've told you about the methods. And you see why method is very important. And if it fails, then there will be a great loss and damage. Thank you, Dr. Olukemi.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that explanation. The next slide talks about what are the limitations and delimitations of a concept note. You see, limitations here are constraints or challenges that the investigations could reduce, resolve, or mitigate. You know, there is no how you conduct any research or you are about to conduct, there will be challenges. It's not the way you conceive it that you meet it on the field. When you get to the field, it's a different ball game. Okay, exactly. But you must be able to overcome because if you are not able to overcome the challenges and the obstruction, that the constraints and the challenge, that means you will not proceed. So when you have, for example, if you are going to the field during the COVID that happened 3-4 years ago, yeah, it's 5 years now, 5 years ago. How time flies. You see, how did people get over the COVID? Because we are not supposed to meet each other physically, distance. People had to use what the questionnaire online, drop and go, and so many other ways. So you must be able to overcome the constraints, whether financially, psychologically, emotionally, and otherwise. Okay, so limitations are generally will be encountered, but you should make sure that you overcome the limitation. And limitations and delimitations, they are not the same thing. Delimitation refers to the scope, your area of scope of the research, because you are not going to conduct the research to cover you don't have the time, you don't have the resources, it's not a longitudinal research. Even if it has to do it will be in stages. And when we talk about postgraduate research, it has its own timeline. The time you start, the time you have to finish, complete, and graduate. So it is not it's not going to be the one for that will be referred to as a longitudinal. Even longitudinal surveys too have its own studies or research, has its own compartments of the time you have to do this, do that one, go to the field, and so that is it. And this gives during this stage of determining your limitation and also delimitation, it gives you room for suggestion for what can be done in the future or at a later stage or in another set of research. Okay, so when your scope is just within that framework or is limited to that side, okay, then you now propose and suggest for further study for other people that will be interested in that research that are similar to yours, or to look at other areas or variables or constructs that you have not identified in your research because of time and also budget and financial resources. Do you want to add anything?
No, it's okay. Brilliant.
Thank you, sir. Timeliness and deliverables. These are the periods for submitting expected deliverables of products. Researchers should ensure timelines are met. Timeliness or timelines.
Yes, timelines,
Timeliness, yeah. Should ensure that timelines are met as soon as possible to avoid disqualification or rejection or a waste of time and other resources. Okay? The ability to manage time is very critical in any project you have, whether postgraduate. That's why some people spend 8 years, 6 years, 10 years undergoing a PhD program. So I don't know what is about. I believe this is one of the challenges postgraduate students face when they embark on their program. That's why we said in one of the presentations we presented on supervisors' roles in research. It's very important for students to prepare their minds what they are going to do before they register for any PhD program or any postgraduate program. If you don't have any idea of what you are going to do, even before you finish your coursework, you must have resolved this issue again and again, and be sure that you are documenting things and you have started something, reading, studying, review journal articles that are related to your area of interest. If not, when you are waiting, you want to wait after the coursework, then before you start thinking and alone will take up to 6 months or 9 months. But if you have done that before you even uh, uh, apply for the program, is better for you. So the issue of timelines and meeting deadlines and even graduating will be something that you will be able to handle right from the onset. And deliverables are outcomes, the product, the services, research publications, research projects, monographs, thesis, patents, copyrights, prototypes, and other deliverables. Maybe Dr. Godwin would like to add.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is this issue of improper concept that leads to delays in postgraduate work, because you don't mix two things that are immiscible, and you are expected to have a result. It can't happen. That's why you need to get your concept. One, don't compare two things that are not comparable. You are mixing water with oil. It cannot happen. So if you are going to talk about oil, talk about oil. When you talk about water, talk about water. Don't miss it, because when you compare two things that are not on the same level, you will have a problem.
And also, maybe I'll come in at that juncture. If you are conducting a research on lecturers, let it be strictly lecturers. If it is on administrators, let it be on administrators. Not that you are going you will have another set of questionnaire for lecturers, another set of questionnaires for students, another questionnaires for no for administrators. You will never finish that project and research. It will be too cumbersome. It will be too wide for you to cope at masters, even at PhD, because you have other things to do. So those are the things you now suggest for further study. Somebody else should look at students, while others should look at what? Administrators, if you are looking at lecturers.
You must not mix two
So
things. They are not on the same level.
Not at all. Okay. Let's proceed.
Yeah.
I think finally, we are saying thank you for watching and listening. You can still go back and listen more, because at times when you listen and watch once, you may not get the gist of the matter. You'll go back again, and please subscribe, comment, and share. For further inquiries, contact Dr. Lukemi Olufunrola Asemota. You see the email there. And I want to thank Dr. Godwin. I don't know if Dr. Godwin wants to say one or two things.
No, it's okay. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very good.
Thank you. So we have offered you some practical tips, what you will learn from it if you listen, and what other things you will learn that we will not be able to mention because of time. Thank you. Let's meet again on Dr. Kemi Asemota Research Empowerment Forum. We are going to post this on Dr. Kemi Asemota Inspirational TV. You have two channels. So when you see one, check the others. Okay, we are talking about research, and we are talking about research in the other one, in the other channel as well. But the ones you don't see here in one, you can see on the other. But all the same, when you have the link, you can always just go into the channel direct. Thank you. See you again.